ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय राधिकायै प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायण गोस्वामिनिति नामिने। श्री कृष्ण लीला कथने सुदक्षम औदार्य माधुर्य गुणैषयुक्तम वरम वरेण्यम पुरुषम महांतम श्रीनारायणं त्वं शिरसा नमामि। त्रिदण्डिनां भक्तशिरोमणिं च श्रीकृष्णपादाब्जधृतये हृदि चैतन्यलीलामृतसारसारं नारायणं त्वं सततं प्रपद्ये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्याय नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। श्याम सुंदर शिखंड शेखर स्मेरहास मुरली मनोहर राधिका रसिक माम कृपा निधे स्वप्रिया चरण किंकरीं कुरु। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे तन्नय माम चरणान्तिके। भक्त्या विहीनापराधलक्षै क्षिप्ताश्च कामादितरङ्गमध्यै कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So first of all, I offer my unlimited obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of my most worshipful spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedant Narayan Goswami Maharaj. My unlimited obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of Sachidanand Thakur Srila Bhaktivinoda, and my unlimited obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of our Rupanuga Guru Varga, and my respects to everyone who's assembled here today. So we are continuing chapter 3 of Jaiva Dharma. And so far we have discussed that the question, this new person who had come to the Kunj of Premhans Das Babaji, he had asked that it appears that the Vaishnavas do not follow the same activities and do not perform the same kriyas, same sadhan, like Nitya Karma, the Sandhya Vandanadi, like the Brahmins that they perform according to Manu Smriti. So why is it so? So then Vaishnav Dasji, upon the request of Premhans Das Babaji, started responding to this question and very beautifully explained from one point to the next. And he explained that people have two types of inclinations. One who are more Vaidhi, following the rules and regulations, and then Raganuga, where one has spontaneous love for Krishna. And since in the conditioned stage, we don't have that spontaneous love for the Lord, and it is only possible by the association of pure devotees, which is not very readily available. So, in order to help the conditioned souls, so they will make progressively they will make progress towards the ultimate goal of achieving Krishna Prem. The Lord inspired in the heart of the rishis the Vaidi bhakti, where one follows rules and regulations, the Vaidi pravritti. So there he then explained the Varnashram Dharam was established, and according to Varnashram Dharam, there are many rules and regulations to be followed and many activities that have to be performed, just like the Sandhya, the 3 times in a day, the Brahmins take bath and then they perform their Sandhya, chanting various mantras. Then he explained that there are 3 types of eligibilities or adhikar: karam, and for those who are more inclined towards performing activities, fruitive activities, and then for gyan, and then the eligibility for performing the devotional service. And he then explained that these 3, Karam Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, they are not independent. Karam Yoga leads to Gyan Yoga, and they both then lead to Bhakti Yoga. So these are steps in the staircase to the highest goal, which is attaining pure love of Krishna. And then he explained what we were discussing last time, that the true Nitya Karma of a Jiva is only Krishna Prem. And then he explained that actually, when we use the word Nitya Karma, Nitya means eternal, Karma means activities. This is in fact only used in a behavioral way. This does not has the real meaning that these karma or these activities are eternal, because karma itself is not eternal. The only Nitya Karma or the eternal activity for the living entity is Krishna Prem, or engaging in loving devotional service of the Lord. So this is what we had discussed the last time. Now he continues, and then he explains that from the point of view of the essential nature of things, the Nitya Dharma of the Jiva is unalloyed spiritual practice, and all other types of dharma are nimittic. So he's again emphasizing that the eternal religion of the living entities is unalloyed spiritual practice, which means unalloyed means where there is no other desire except for attaining Krishna Prem. So in the other, what the Brahmins perform and the other ritualistic activities that they perform, there are many other goals, right? And we will discuss this a little bit later also. But if we go back to the definition or the understanding where the Jaiva Dharma started from, what is the real dharma of the Jiva? It is Krishna Prem, because by the constitution of the Jiva, by our very constitution, we are eternal servants of the Lord. So this is the essential nature. So if we go by the essential nature of the living entities, then unalloyed loving devotional service is really the only dharma. All other types are nimittic. So this Varnashram Dharma that he was explaining, and under that he explained Nitya Karma. So now he's saying all of them in fact are nimittic. So nimittic, again, remember, comes from the word nimit. Nimit means because of some reason now we are following that dharma, but that is not eternal. When that reason is gone, then we will not be following those practices. So he says this applies to Varnashram Dharma also, as well as to Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, the eightfold yoga system in which Hatha Yoga is also included. So all of these are performed because of certain nimit, reason. Similarly, Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is the process of analytical research. So Sankhya means analysis or counting. So by counting the various different elements of the material world, so Lord Kapila in Srimad Bhagavatam explains Sankhya Yoga. So by the analytical research into the nature of spirit and matter, this is Sankhya Yoga and Tapasya. So all of these, he says, are actually not Nitya Dharma. Why? Because these are not performed when we attain our Swarup. So they are useful up to a certain point, but beyond that, once that nimit is removed, then they are not followed. So what is that nimit? A very beautiful thing now he explains. He says, why are these all called nimittic dharma or temporary religions? Because the jiva would not need these dharmas if we were not bound. So the very reason that we need all of these, even the varnashram dharma or Sankhya Yoga or Gyan Yoga, all of these different types of religions that we follow, and there's so many. Remember last time we discussed that because there are 400,000 different species of humans, the Lord, by his great mercy, has made these different systems so everyone can slowly and gradually progress towards the ultimate goal. So he's saying all of these, the only reason they are required is because we are bound in the material world. So just like there would not have been any need for any school if everyone was born intelligent, right? If everyone, when was born, already knew everything, right? Knew the language, knew counting, knew all kind of knowledge, then there would not be any need for the schools. The only reason the schools are required because we need to be trained, we need to be educated. So the only reason why these nimitic dharmas are there, because we are bound. So what is that nimit? The nimit itself is that we are bound. So he says the conditioned state of being bewildered by Maya in itself is a circumstantial cause. So that cause, that we are bound in the material world because of the our because of becoming averse to the Supreme Lord, and therefore the illusory energy has bound us. Because of being conditioned due to that, that is the reason, that is the nimit. Okay, I hope everyone is understanding it. So this is the nimit, and that's why all of these that we follow in our conditioned state are called nimittic dharma. So once that nimit, once that conditioning is removed, once that clutch, once we are liberated from the clutches of Maya, then these dharmas are not there, right? In the spiritual world, those who are in the abode of the Lord in Golok Dham, they do not perform any kind of dhyan yoga, they do not perform any type of ashtang yoga, they do not follow Sankhya yoga. What do? They only chant the holy names of the Lord. They only perform loving devotional service. They perform so many different types of services, whether they are his friends, whether Mother Yashoda, Nand Maharaj, the gopis. It is all done out of love. So therefore, that is the eternal religion. Nimittic dharma includes the superiority of the Brahmins, their Sandhya Vandan, and their acceptance of sannyas after renunciation of all karma. So he's saying this temporary religion, the Nimittic dharma, now Varnashram dharma, is being classified as Nimittic dharma. So in that, yes, he says that the Brahmins are considered the best, right? Again, not by birth, but by guna and karma. So those who are Brahminical in nature, those who apply themselves to the study of the scriptures, not necessarily from a spiritual perspective, from attaining Krishna Prem, but they're still doing the study of the scriptures, they're teaching, they're performing various yagyas. So he says Brahmins are considered the best, and similarly among all the ashrams, this sannyas is considered the best. All these activities are highly recommended in Dharma Shastra, and they're beneficial in consideration of appropriate eligibility, but they still have no standing in relation to Nitya Karma. So even though the activities that the Brahmins perform, they are good. But he says, in relation to our eternal purpose, to our eternal nature of Krishna Prem, they have no standing. And then he quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam one verse, and this verse is spoken um, by Prahlad when Lord Nrsimha Dev appeared. So these verses, let's see, one second. Okay. So when Lord Nrsimha Dev appeared, then he killed Hiranyakashipu, and Lord Nrsimha Dev was in a great anger, very, very furious. And nobody could pacify him. Brahma ji, Shiv ji, everyone was so scared. Even Lakshmi Devi was so scared of going close to him. Then upon the request of Lord Brahma, Prahlad, he went close to Lord Nrsimhadev and offered beautiful prayers. In his prayers, the second prayer that or second shloka that he chanted is this, what you're seeing. This is in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th chapter, verse 10. He says, Viprat Dvishat Gun Yutat Arvind Nabha Padarvinda Vimukhat Shvapacham Varishtham Manye Tat Arpit Mano Vachen Ahitartha Pranam Punati Sakulam Natu Bhuri Manaha. So he says that if a Brahman has all 12 of the Brahmanical qualifications, so there are many, many qualifications that a Brahman has. For example, that they should speak the truth. They should be very honest. They should be merciful. So like this, there are many, many qualities, 12 specific qualities that are described. Krishna also describes in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, these are described. So he says, even if a Brahman has all these 12 qualifications, but if he's not a devotee of the Lord, right? So one may be speaking the truth, one may be very honest, one may be earning his livelihood nicely, performing all the activities as per the Varnashram Dharma, but still has no devotion for the Lord, right? And we see that, right? They are performing many ritualistic activities, performing many yagyas for various demigods, right? But have no devotion towards Krishna and is averse to the lotus feet. Then he says he's certainly lower than that person who may be a dog eater, but he is a devotee of the Lord, and he has dedicated by his mind's, words, activities, and his wealth everything to the Supreme Lord. So such a devotee, even though a dog eater, now someone who is a devotee of the Lord, who has dedicated his mind and words, would not be performing any abominable activities like eating flesh, right? What to talk of eating flesh of a dog. But the point that Prahlad is saying, that even if someone is so abominable, born in such a lowly family of dog eaters, but because he has devotion to the Lord, that is the real qualification. And such a devotee can purify not only himself, but everyone else also. But a Brahman can't even purify himself. What to talk of purifying others, because of his position of false prestige, right? They're very proud, oh, we are Brahmins, but they don't have real devotion to the Lord. So Prahlad himself is saying, no, there are many other verses also in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 2nd canto, 4th chapter. Shukdev Goswami says that Kirat Hunar Kirat Hun Andhra Pulind Pulakash Abhir Shumbha Yavanaha Khasadayah Ye Anyacha Papa Yat Apashrayashrayah Sudhyanti Tasmai Prabha Vishnave Namaha. So these are different types of jatis, different types of clans. These are described as the ones who are they are actually even outside the Varnashram system, and they are very low class according to the scriptures. But he says that even if someone is born in these kind of clans, and because why they are considered lowly, because they're addicted to many sinful activities. But if they take shelter of the devotees of the Lord, like the Pulinda Kanya, Pulinda Kanya's girls, who by the association of the gopis, they got the eligibility to even see Krishna and sit next to him. So if they, such people who are uh, performing sinful activities, but if they take shelter of the devotees of the Lord, then they are purified. So such is the power of the devotion. So what to talk of taking shelter directly of the Supreme Lord, but even if one takes shelter of the devotees of the Lord, then he becomes purified. So this is again where it is not so important if one is born in a sinful family. So see, this gives everyone so much hope, great hope, right? So bhakti is so powerful that it removes all the inauspiciousness in our lives, whether it is by birth or because of our previous activities or even the activities in this life. So again, bhakti is what is important. And then again, Mother Devahuti, in the third canto, chapter 33, verse 7, in her prayers to Lord Kapila, she says, Aho bat shwapachaha ato gariyan, yat jihva agre vartate nam tubhyam, tepuhu tapaste juhuvah shashnuhu arya, brahmanuchur nam grinanti yete. So she says, Ahobat Shwapacho Ato Gariyan, that even if one is born in the family of dog eaters, Jihiva Agre, but even if he's chanting by his tongue the holy names of the Lord, such a person is worshipable. Because a person who is chanting the holy name of the Lord, she says, must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices in their previous life. So the things that a Brahman performs, they must have performed in their previous life. That's the reason they have attained some sukriti and they're able to chant the holy name. To be chanting the holy name of your Lordship, they must have bathed at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. So, what does that mean? That even if one visits the holy places of pilgrimage and studies the Vedas, but does not have the devotion to the Lord, then doing all of those activities have no benefit. But if one is chanting the holy name of the Lord, has devotion to the Lord, then even if he's one in a low class family, that means that he has already performed all those activities, right? So the chanting of the name is more powerful and more beneficial than anything else. So after quoting this verse, then Vaishnav Das says that there are two kinds. So at this point, he has established that more important than that nitya karma, the ritualistic activities that the Brahmins perform, more important than that are the devotional activities that the devotees, the Vaishnavas, perform. Now he explains another important point. He says that two kinds of humans in this world. Those who are spiritually awake, they're called Udit Vivek. And those who are spiritually unconscious, called Anudit Vivek. So what is Vivek? Vivek is our ability to determine what is right and what is wrong. That discretion, that knowledge, that intelligence by which the knowledge of the scriptures by which we can understand what is right and what is wrong. Now, in general words, Vivek would mean, okay, if someone, a student goes to the university, someone who does not have the material intelligence also to understand that if I don't study in the university, then I will not graduate and not get a good job, right? So there are many different categories of such discretion. But here, he's classifying the humans not based on general vivek, not based on general intelligence, but specifically the intelligence by which one can understand that the purpose of life is to make progress on the spiritual path. So it means people who are spiritually awake, those who understand that human life is not just meant for sense enjoyment, not just meant for ritualistic practices, but for attaining the pure love of Lord. They, from that perspective, he's saying that there are people who are spiritually awake and those who are spiritually unconscious. Most people in the world are spiritually unconscious, as we can see, right? Everyone around us that we see generally does not have much inclination towards spirituality. And even if they may have some understanding of religion, generally their inclination is to perform rituals to attain some material gains. How many people really perform spiritual activities to attain love of Krishna? So he's saying most people in this Kali Yuga, mandah sumand mateha mand bhagya hi upadritaha. People in general are mandah. Manda means they are not very inclined towards spiritual path. Mandah sumand mateha, and very little intelligence. Mand bhagya. They're very unfortunate. Why? Because in Kali Yuga is so, the holy name, the process is so simple. Unlike the previous yugas, in Kali Yuga, simply by chanting the holy names, one can attain that highest destination, which is so difficult to attain. But in Kali Yuga, people are so unfortunate that they would not even chant the holy names. So he says, most people are spiritually unconscious, but those who are spiritually awake are rare. Of all those who are spiritually unconscious, the Brahmins are the best, and the Brahmins Nitya Karma such as Sandhya Vandan Adi is the best of all the duties. So he says, now he's categorizing even the Brahmins as those who are spiritually unconscious. Very, sometimes this may seem not appealing to some people, but again, see, generally the Brahmins, they are performing activities again not for spiritual gain, not for the purpose of self-realization, understanding their swarup, or attaining love of Krishna. So it says, therefore, they are spiritually unconscious, but even then, the Sandhya Vandan, those mantras, the Gayatris that they chant, is the best of all the duties. Now he says, this is about those who are spiritually unconscious. And those who are spiritually conscious, who are such people? They are the Vaishnavas. Another name for those who are spiritually awake is Vaishnav. That means we can only be considered Vaishnav if we have clear understanding of what the purpose of life is. So being a Vaishnav means that one has come to this crystal clear understanding. The one and the only purpose of performing any spiritual activity, any religious activity, is to attain unalloyed love of Krishna. And to attain that clarity, right, so that we have no confusion, no doubt about this, it is important to diligently study scriptures like Jaiva Dharma. And otherwise, we will only stay at an emotional level, as we were discussing at the beginning also, only at an emotional level, and will not develop that determination. Because unless we have clarity of our goal, we will also not be very determined to attain it. So he says only those who are spiritually awake, they are called Vaishnavas. Their behavior will necessarily be different from the behavior of those who are spiritually unconscious, right? So those who are spiritually awake and those who are not spiritually awake, their behavior is also bound to be different. The activities that they perform are also going to be different. Even so, the behavior of the Vaishnavas is not opposed to the aim of the Smriti rules, which are established in order to regulate people who are spiritually unconscious, because the ultimate of all the Shastras is always one. So he says that the Vaishnavas still, they are not opposed to what the rules and regulations are described in the Smriti Shastras, because ultimately the purpose of the scriptures is the same. And what is the purpose? To bring each and every conditioned living entity to the highest platform. So as we are stepping on the staircase, the Lord wants everyone come to the highest level. So those who are spiritually unconscious are bound to a particular portion of the stark and rudimentary injunctions of the Shastra, whereas those who are spiritually awake receive the underlying essence of the Shastra as an intimate friend. So another important point is saying that those who are spiritually unconscious, they do not understand the scriptures comprehensively. They only take one thing from the scripture and then they get just stuck there. They don't understand the real purpose, the real essence of what the scriptures are trying to tell. And we see that, right? So, and I would not, go into the details, but if you really, after understanding Srimad Bhagavatam, after understanding Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, once gets the clarity of what the goal of Sanatan Dharam is, then you can see that how others who in the name of Sanatan Dharam are a bit misguided because they've only taken some part. That's the reason, as we were discussing last time in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is clearly saying, Vedahischa sarvai aham eva vedyah, that the purpose of all the Vedas is to know me. If you read this Sanskrit, Vedahi Sarvai Aham Eva Vedya, he's saying that I am the one to be known through all the Vedas. But then most of the translators of Bhagavad Gita, those who have written commentators on Bhagavad Gita, don't even accept Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead, right? Then they just focus on something else. Some will say that only performing karma, this is what Gita is saying, karmani eva adhikaraste. Now that you have adhikar to perform the karma. And most people believe that that's all Gita is saying, that perform your karma. But one who is a Vaishnav says, oh no, Krishna is not just saying karmani eva adhikaraste, he's saying ma karmani eva adhikaraste. That don't karmani eva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Do not aspire for the fruits of those activities. And how is that possible? Then he delves further, and then Krishna explains that if you perform everything as a service unto me, then you will not be attached to the fruits of those activities. So a devotee takes the essence of the scriptures, the complete meaning, the complete purpose of the scriptures. So then Vaishnav Das ji says that though these two groups of people perform different activities, but their aim is the same. Ineligible people may think that the behavior of those who are spiritually awake is opposed to the behavior of people in general, but in reality, the fundamental aim of these different patterns of behavior is the same. So he's saying, many times people cannot understand the activities of the Vaishnavas. And therefore, they sometimes, question like this gentleman had questioned that why do the activities of the Vaishnavas appear opposed to what generally people, do. We don't do, for example, Shraddh. We don't do worship to Devi, like people keep Navratra. So many things that generally Brahmins will do, the Vaishnavas don't do because they understand the real purpose of the scriptures. Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Janiyana Bujya. It is not easy to understand the activities of the Vaishnavas. From the point of view of those who are spiritually awake, people in general are eligible for instructions regarding Nimittik Dharam. However, Nimittik Dharam is in essence incomplete, adulterated, impermanent, and ultimately fit to be rejected. So he's saying the Nimittik Dharma does not take us to the final goal. Therefore, it has to be ultimately rejected. The title of this chapter is this only. Nimittik Dharma is to be relinquished. See, sometimes because of emotional attachments and not understanding, we are not able to give up certain practices. And that's why it is important to understand and have that faith and determination so we can give up things which are not favorable for bhakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also when he met Rai Ramanand, and he asked Rai Ramanand that please, based on the scriptures, by quoting verses from the scriptures, tell me sadhya and sadhan. What is the goal and what is the sadhan, what is the process to attain that goal? And first, Rai Ramanand, he said performing varnashram dharam, by which we can attain the goal of life. And then Mahaprabhu said, Eho bahe, age ar kah rai, that this is bahe, this is external. Why? Because in performing varnashram dharam, there is no preeti, there is no love for Krishna. Everything is being done only for your own sake, right? You are only performing activities to attain some material benefits. There's really not any devotion to the Lord. So Mahaprabhu said, Eho Bahya, he rejected it. Like this, then Rai Ramanand went that perform all the activities as a service unto the Lord. Mahaprabhu even rejected that. So all of these are considered Naimittik Dharma and they should be rejected. Naimittik Dharma is not direct spiritual practice, rather, it consists of temporary material activities that are taken up to attain spiritual practices. Hence, it is merely the means to an end. The means is never complete because its function ceases when it has produced the end. So, a very important point he explains that the Naimittik Dharma, or these activities that the Brahmins and others perform, they're not direct spiritual practice, but they're temporary, and many of these are material activities that are taken up to attain the pure spiritual practice. So these are simply a means to an end. They are not end within themselves. Whereas Nitya Dharma is the means as well as the end, right? Whereas Naimittik Dharma is not an end, but once the goal is achieved, it ceases to be followed. Then one does not follow. We last time also we were discussing, for example, the Gayatri mantras that we chant. They're very helpful to help us realize our sambandha. But once one attains that Swarupa Gyan, then there is no purpose of the Gayatri mantras. In the Golok Dham, nobody chants Gayatri mantra, but everyone chants the names of Krishna, whether it's Mother Yashoda, Nanda Baba, the gopis, they're all chanting Govinda Damodar Madhaveti, Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. They're not chanting any Gayatri mantra, they're not saying Swaha, they're not chanting any of those other mantras. So he says that a Brahman's chanting of Sandhya Vandana, like his various other duties, is temporary and subject to specific rules. These activities do not stem from his natural spiritual proclivity. If after performing these prescribed duties for a long time, one obtains the association of pure devotees, one develops tastes for the holy name. At that time, these activities like Sandhya Vandana is no longer a circumstantial prescribed karma. Harinam is complete spiritual practice, whereas Sandhya Vandana and other such practices are only the means to obtain this principal goal and can never be the complete reality. So just what I was explaining, chanting of the Gayatri Mantra is a means to attain some level of purification and association of pure devotees of the Lord, but ultimately it is the chanting of the holy name. When one develops the taste for the holy name, right now we are chanting more to follow the rule that we have to chant a certain prescribed number of rounds. But if we stay enthusiastic, if we stay determined, then slowly and gradually we will start developing the taste. It will certainly come if we don't commit any offenses and stay in the association of Rasik Vaishnavas. The taste will certainly come, and that the holy name is complete. Nam Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Ras Vigraha Nitya Punah Shuddha Nitya Mukta Abhinatvat Nam Naminaha. That it is complete, Punaha. It is Nitya, it is eternal, it is Shuddh, it is pure, and abhinatvat nam namina, it is non-different from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, chanting of the holy name is complete practice within itself. Naimittic dharma is commendable because it aims at the truth, but it is eventually meant to be abandoned and it is mixed with undesirable results. Only spiritual reality is truly beneficial. Although the jiva should relinquish matter and its association, materialism is prominent in Naimittic dharma. So he says when we perform activities of Varnashram Dharam or Sankhya Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, they're generally the goal is to attain some material benefits. Like, so when you're performing certain types of yoga, physical health is the goal. When you're performing certain yajnas, again attaining material wealth or a nice girl as your wife. So many different things are given in the Vedic scriptures. So all these Naimittic dharma, their goal is more of material benefits, and therefore one gets entangled in them only. Just like a Brahman, he may become very proud that I am a Brahman, I'm the top of the society, and others are inferior to me. The result of such false egoism that his worship yields detrimental results. So if one becomes proud of one's position, then one cannot make progress in bhakti, because for bhakti one has to be very humble. Trinatapi shunichen tarorapi sahishnuna. So therefore that ego, and we have seen, right, even in India, because of this false ego, the Brahmins, they created such a caste system which is not even according to the scriptures, because they thought that they are the superior ones and they are the topmost in the society. Everyone else is inferior to them. So many detrimental results for themselves. Because of that ego, they could never surrender. They never understood the real purpose, even though they were chanting the shlokas, but never really got the benefit of the real benefit of chanting those, and then also cause so much detrimental impact on the society. Another example is that an insignificant result of practicing the eightfold yoga system. So when one performs Ashtanga yoga, one may get many mystical potencies, and then one again gets very enchanted by them, becomes very proud of all these mystical powers that one attains, and just becomes entangled in them. So he says all this Naimittic dharma, very important point he explains, very important. He says the two unavoidable companions of Naimittic dharma are mukti and bhukti. Mukti means liberation, and bhukti means material enjoyment. But the jiva must save himself from the clutches of mukti and bhukti. So he says when one performs these Naimittic dharma activities that are not done with the goal to attain Krishna Prem, then one is bound to get entangled with these things. These two things come with it. Either you will get a lot of material enjoyment, or there will be desire for liberation. What type of liberation? Becoming one with the Supreme. Absolute. So this is a big impediment in the path of bhakti. Chaitanya Charitamrit, Sriman Mahaprabhu, in his instructions to Rupa Goswami, he says, Bhukti Mukti Adi Vancha Yadi Mane Hoy, Sadhan Korile Prem Utpan Na Hoy. If one has the desire for bhukti or mukti, Yadi Mane Hoy, if one has these desires in their heart, sadhan correlate. Even if one is performing sadhan, one is performing the various practices, prem utpan na hai, Krishna prem will not manifest. So these are like the holes in a pot. If there is a pot, earthen pot, and it has holes in it, if you put water in it, it will never become filled. The water will keep going out of those holes. So similarly, because of these, if one had these desires, then one will not attain real Krishna Prem. So it says, consequently, Nimittic Dharma entails much that is contemptible for the Jivas. So it says, really, one who understands the purpose of life, these Nimittic Dharma does not provide those real results, and it is contemptible for the Jivas. Nimittic Dharma is impermanent, for it does not apply at all times and in all conditions. So he gives an example that, for example, a Brahman's his duty is to perform priestly activities, for a Kshatriya to perform administrative or military duties, and other such circumstantial occupations. And these are why, because one is born, let's say, for example, in a certain family, or one has certain inclinations. But if a Brahman takes birth as a Chandal in his next life, the Brahmanical occupational duties are no longer his Swadharma. So in one life, he was performing the activities of a Brahman because he was born in a Brahman family. But next life, if he takes birth in the family of a Shudra, then he would not be performing those Brahmanical activities. So that means this is not eternal. Varnashram is not eternal. It is nemetic because of the cause of having taken birth in a certain family. That's why they were following those activities. I am using the word Swadharma in a figurative sense here. The nimittic Swadharma of the Jiva changes in every birth, but his Nitya Dharma never changes. The Jiva's true Swadharma is Nitya Dharma, whereas Nimittic Dharma is impermanent. So then he says, one may ask, what is Vaishnav Dharma? The answer is that Vaishnav Dharma is the Jiva's Nitya Dharma. So this Vaishnav Dharma is our eternal religion. When the Vaishnav, the Jiva, is liberated from matter, he nurtures Krishna Prem in his pure spiritual form. Before that stage, when the Vaishnava is still materially bound, although spiritually awakened, he only accepts objects and association that are favorable for the spiritual practice, and he rejects all that is unfavorable. So he's saying that before, even as a Vaishnava, even though we are spiritually awake, but we have still not achieved our Swarup Gyan, right? So we have not still achieved our final destination. But even in that stage where we are making progress towards the ultimate goal, what do the Vaishnavas do? They only accept that which is favorable for bhakti, and what is not favorable for bhakti, they reject. And these are the first two aspects of Sharanagati. So there's 6 aspects of surrender. The first is Anukulyana Sankalpa Pratikulasya Varajanam, to accept everything that is favorable for bhakti and to reject what is not favorable for bhakti. So he accepts the instructions and prohibitions of the scriptures graciously, but only when they are favorable for his practice to Hari Bhajan. So there are many, many rules and regulations given in the scriptures. He accepts only those that are favorable for performing Hari Bhajan. So, for example, many ritualistic performances are not very favorable for bhakti, so a devotee does not accept them. A Vaishnav is the world's only true friend, and he renders auspiciousness for all jivas of the world. Now I have humbly submitted whatever I had to say today in this assembly of Vaishnavas. Kindly excuse my faults and any offenses. So with this, Vaishnav Das Ji, he concludes his beautiful response to the question that this gentleman had asked. And he so beautifully explained the reason why the Vaishnavas, they appear to perform activities that seem opposed, but they're not opposed to what the Brahmins and others do. So when he spoke, when he concluded, then he offered his prostrated obeisances, Sashtang Pranam, to all the assembled Vaishnavas, and then he sat very humbly on one side. By this time, the eyes of the Vaishnavas had filled with tears, and they all exclaimed in unison, well done, sadhu, sadhu. So they all had tears in their eyes. Why were there tears in the eyes of all the Vaishnavas? So one, because when we hear Harikatha in such beautiful explanation of Siddhanta, it is naturally to become overwhelmed. So they were so overwhelmed by the beautiful explanation that Vaishnav Das gave. And secondly, they were also so happy. These tears were of happiness, seeing that now he had completely understood the essence of Vaishnav scriptures, of the scriptures of the, and very clearly understood the Siddhanta. See, when a teacher sees that the students have understood what he or she is trying to teach, that is the greatest satisfaction for the teacher. So, spiritual master, a guru, what does he really want from the disciples? Gurudev would say, what does a guru want? He does not want their money. He does not want anything material from the disciples. All he wants is that they should understand and follow the instructions that he is giving. If we take initiation but do not follow what the spiritual master has given us, then is the guru going to be happy? No, he is not going to be happy. But when he sees that someone is following, then naturally tears come in his eyes. So all these Vaishnavas were so ecstatic to hear this beautiful explanation of the by Vaishnav Das. Now, this Brahman singer who had asked the question could see the profound truth of many of the topics, and some doubts had arisen on certain points. So he, even though he heard the explanation, he still had some doubts, but at the same time, hearing from Vaishnav Das, now some seed of bhakti had been planted, some faith had come in his heart. So he folded his hands and he said that I am not a Vaishnav, but I am becoming one by continuously hearing the holy name. If you will kindly instruct me, all my doubts will be dispelled. So now his faith has arisen. Ado Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sang. Some faith has arisen now. Now, with this, he wants to associate with the Vaishnavas and have all his doubts removed. So then Premhans Das Babaji said, yes, of course. You should come and associate this Vaishnav Das. He is very learned. He explains that how he was a sannyasi before, had studied all the Vedanta, and then somehow by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became attracted towards Vaishnavism, and he came from Varanasi, he came here to Navadvip, and now he has completely understood the essence of the Vedic scriptures. So you should associate with him, and he can help you understand the Siddhanta. So this person who had asked the question, his name was Kali Das Lahiri. So he accepted the instructions of Babaji Maharaj, and within his heart, he accepted Vaishnav Das as his guru. So then he performed, then he offered his Danvat Pranams to everyone, and it was evening time, and everyone went back to their places. So towards the end of this chapter, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he continues the storyline and says that this person whose name was Kalidas Lahiri, the one who had asked the question at the beginning of this chapter, he used to live in a grove in a secluded area of that village. So this is Godrum. So in that village of Godrum, in a secluded area, he used to live. And this was the place of one person whose name was Madhav Das Babaji. And this Madhav Das Babaji at one point was a very respected Vaishnav, but now slowly because of association with a woman, his character had become blemished, and slowly his practice of bhajan was also becoming less. So he was quite impoverished and was meeting his expenses with difficulty by begging at various places and by renting out his extra room, which Lahiri Mahasaya was occupying. So Lahiri Mahasaya, when he came back that night, he went to his cottage, he was taking rest, and then he heard some voices. He came out and he saw that Babaji, this Madhav Das Babaji, was speaking to a woman. And that woman, seeing Lahiri Mahasaya, immediately left. So then Kalidas Lahiri, he asked Madhav Das Babaji that who is this woman? So he said, well, this is my ex-wife. So before I took the renounced order, she was, my wife. And I came here, and after some time, one time I was in Shantipur and I saw her there. And I asked, how are you here? And she said, well, after you left, I also did not feel inclined towards anything. I felt detached. So I also wanted to come to the Holy Dham. So she also came. Now, now she was also in the same area, so they will meet once in a while. And then slowly she also came to Godrum, and she was trying to build her own ashram there. And now she would come and some to meet this Babaji. So he said that she comes in the night and then she's trying to cause my fall down. My bad reputation, he says, because of this, my bad reputation has spread everywhere, and my practice of bhajan has deteriorated sorely through my association with her. I am a disgrace to the family of the servants of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I am the only person since the time of Chota Haridas' chastisement who deserves punishment. So Chota Haridas was a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Once Mahaprabhu was taking prasad, and when he took rice, he asked, where did this rice come from? So they said, well, Chota Haridas went to the house of Madhavi Devi. She was an 80-year-old Vaishnavi and got rice from there. Hearing this, Mahaprabhu said, oh, when he went back to his place, Mahaprabhu called Govind and said, I do not want to see the face of Chota Haridas again. So everyone was amazed. What has he done? He has done. So Mahaprabhu was, no, I am not going to see his face again. So Gurudev and Sri Swami Maharaj also explained that now, of course, this was an 80-year-old woman. There was, no, and this was a young boy. But Mahaprabhu is, he's an all-knower and he's omniscient. So there was a young girl who used to live at the house of Madhavi Devi. And when Chota Haridas went, he had some desire in his heart to see that girl. So Mahaprabhu is instructing that now that you have taken the renounced order of life, then having these desires is very detrimental, and it is a blemish on the order of sannyas. So Mahaprabhu, he rejected, he said, I will not see Chota Haridas again. In Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, Chota Haridas went and he actually went into the river, committed suicide, but then he became, in his spiritual form, because he's an eternal associate, in his spiritual form, he would come and sing beautiful bhajans to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu, he is establishing the adarsh, the purity by which one has to follow the order of sannyas. So he is, this Madhav Das Babaji, he is being very repentant that my reputation has been spoiled. Now Lahadi Mahashay also told him that please be careful and don't do this, what you are getting into. Control yourself right now. Then he went to take rest, but the whole night he could not sleep, and he thought that if I stay here, then because of my staying here, even I will get bad association and my reputation will be also spoiled. So next day in the morning, he went to Pradyumna Kunj and he paid his respects to Vaishnav Das ji and requested him that if I can get a place to stay here in the Kunj. And when Vaishnav Das, he informed Paramhans Das Babaji, Babaji gave instructions. He said, yes, he can stay here. They gave him a place. And from that point, Lahadi Mahashay, he started staying at the Pradyumna Kunj of Premhans Das Babaji. So with this chapter 3 ends. And now in the next chapter, we'll see that how Lahadi Mahashay, he asks further questions from Vaishnav Das. So very, very beautiful chapter. Again, I will request, please do take some time to read this chapter. This one answer that he has given, and in such a systematic way that he has explained the this point of why the Vaishnavas do not follow what the caste Brahmins or the other ritualistic practices, a very important answer. And if you have any questions, we can discuss any questions that anyone has. So I know there were a lot of points in this chapter. So, but please, if you have any questions, do feel free. Some of you send me afterwards also. You can send the questions afterwards also, and I will try to respond.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So, the chastisement of Chota Haridas by Lord Chaitanya is very instructive. But today, the souls of Kali Yuga are a million times worse than Chota Haridas. So, will Lord Chaitanya reform them and accept them? Because Chota Haridas made one mistake, but today's, in this Kali Yuga, especially in this country where mixing between the sexes is so common, and the senses are always agitated, what is the remedy? And will Lord Chaitanya accept us, even if we are initiated and we fall down?
Good question. See, if one falls down and repents for it, right, and does not commit that mistake again, then yes, there is hope that Mahaprabhu will accept. But if in the name of so once you fall down and then you think, oh, by chanting the holy name, I can, again become free, and then you again commit the same wrong thing, and then again commit the same thing, then it is called Vajra Lep. Then it becomes very, very difficult, right? Because now you are committing an offense against the holy name. Yes, there is some weakness in the heart, you repent for it, but don't use the purification power of the holy name to commit offenses or to commit sinful activities again. Okay, then of course, Mahaprabhu will not give his mercy, but the Vaishnavas are merciful. But the point here is one has to be truly repentant for what one is doing. Unless that mood of repentance doesn't come, right, then why will the mercy also manifest? The mercy manifests when the Lord sees that someone is, yes, we have not only in this life, in previous lives we have committed so much, right? Now also because of Hridaya Daurbalyam, weakness of the heart, many times devotees also, even after taking initiation, end up committing wrong things. But if they are repent for it and do not commit it again, then of course, Mahaprabhu is very merciful. And you're talking of general people, well, they are so absorbed in their sinful activities, they are not even wanting the mercy of Mahaprabhu. They are not even wanting the mercy of the Lord. They just want to keep enjoying. Then why will the mercy come? Right? Mercy comes only when one wants it, when one desires it, and then repents for all the wrong one has done. Right? Of course, the Lord wants to give his mercy, but then we also have to be wanting to have it. Right?
Yeah, understand.
Yeah. See, Gurudev has our acharyas have given us what we should do, what we should not do, but still it is only because the weakness of the heart, right? Because we still have some lack of faith, we still have attraction for material things, which is fine. Again, the point is, the main thing is we should avoid any kind of offenses and we should follow the regulative principles. By doing that, and the most important thing is association of devotees. The biggest mistake that one makes is if we stop association, and that also of the right type of devotees, right? Be careful when we are associating. So then slowly, because the Maya is so strong, the influence of the world around is so strong, we should never underestimate the power of Maya. I cannot tell you how many I have seen in my own life so-called stalwart sannyasis and what happened to them. So Maya is very, very strong, and we should never think that we will not become victims of Maya. Right? So the only way to protect ourselves is to stay in strong association of good devotees. Okay, anyone else has a question? Okay, so we'll meet next Sunday. Next Sunday we'll keep it on Sunday only. I promise we'll not change the day next time. So thank you everyone for joining. And have a great rest of the week. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.